Hi everyone, Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech, and iPadOS 26 is one of the updates that truly, without a doubt, makes your iPad feel more like a Mac. Stage Manager slash the new windowing system has been on all of the iPads running iPadOS 26, and we've been using it for at least about a month. If you have not been running the betas, I've been running it at least since Public Beta 5 in late August. And in this video, I'm going to talk about my top favorite features within Stage Manager slash the new windowing system 1 month to 2 months later. Now, first off, I'm going to show you guys how to work the new windowing system. Now you see I have this control, which I'll get into that in just a little bit. But if I go into settings here, I go to general, about, as you can see here, I'm running the latest version of iPadOS 26.1 with build number 23B85. And in this update, we're going to talk about some new changes with Stage Manager, because iPadOS 26.1 does bring updates. So if we scroll down into settings here, and we go to multitasking and gestures, you can see we have 3 options. When you are setting up your iPad for the first time on iPadOS 26, whether it's the new M5 iPad Pro, or maybe you bought an iPad 11th generation and it's updated to iPadOS 26 on the hello screen, you're going through the initial setup process. You're going to see these 3 new options at some point. And the reason why you're going to see these new options is because there is a new feature in iPadOS 26, and you're looking at it right here. This is called the window mode, or it has several names, but a lot of people refer to it as windowing. And you can see it has 2 options or 3 options within it. One of them I'm currently using, full screen apps. Now you can use this one, but I would at least recommend you guys try out the several features that I've been addicted to for the past month or so. So if I click on windowed apps here, you can see that my iPad Safari browser or my iPad's settings app here went into windowed apps mode. If we go into another app here, say we go into Safari, and you can see here we have Safari open. And then say we bring in photos. We can bring in however many apps we would like in iPadOS 26. But now you see I have 4 apps. I demonstrated this already, but I'm just going to demonstrate it again to test RAM stability. Now, if we go into it here, if I go into Apple TV here, and then say I want to go into another app, Chrome for instance. Look at Safari in the bottom, in the top left. Safari is completely blurred in the background. That is because the RAM limitations for iPadOS 26. Now you can see that I was just closing the app with these buttons. Let me show you what they do. The green button that we have here, it does a couple things. Well, it only does one. That's for full screen. I pressed it, it goes into half screen. The yellow button minimizes the window. Let's do it again. The green button closes it, or the red button rather. So the red button is to close the app, the yellow is to minimize, and the red is to make the app full screen or half screen. You can also use the little slider, which is this L-shaped sort of noodle here. You put your finger on the bottom right corner. You can resize the window. You can make it an iPhone size. You can stretch it out, make it take up the entire display. Somewhat have it full screen, but have the top of the wallpaper showing and the bottom of the wallpaper showing. And this exactly mimics what some people might do on a Mac when their dock is showing in the top bar where you can see through the wallpaper is showing. You can do that as well. Now there is another feature that I want to mention, Stage Manager. Now you do have a control for these features. If I turn off the control, you can see my iPad jumps into full screen. If I turn it on, you can see it puts me back to where I was in Stage Manager. Within it, we have two options, Stage Manager, and we also have windowing. That control is just a shortcut. Prior to iPadOS 26, if you wanted to get this level of functionality, you would need an iPad with an A12X chip or later. So an iPad Pro 2018 or later, or an M1 iPad Air and later. Well, that no longer applies because any iPad that runs iPadOS 26, regardless of the model and chip, it will run this feature. Now, as far as going into different apps, some of my favorite features, well, let me get two apps open here as you can flick windows here. So if I flick a window by just dragging it to the left, as you can see that I just flicked the window here. So basically to flick a window, you put your finger on the top of the window and you swipe it to the left. Or you can do the same with the right one. Swipe the window to the right. That is how you flick windows in iPadOS 26. Now, while this doesn't have anything to do with Stage Manager, this is always something that I've wanted to try. Full screen content in Safari. And for whatever reason, it brought me to my channel here, because I don't know why Safari is always signing me out here. But if I go into my YouTube channel, if I go into my channel here, so I have one of my videos pulled up here, and if I go into full screen here, within the windowing system, you can see that it doesn't take up the entire display here. That's something that I've always wanted to try in Stage Manager, since they make this extremely similar to the Mac with the windowed apps mode. Now, honestly, one of my favorite things about Stage Manager / the windowing system is just the overall way that it looks. Let me explain what I mean by that. So how I have my wallpaper behind my icons here, and when you go into an app, you can see your wallpaper behind whichever app window you have. That is exactly how that works on a computer. And that is honestly one of my favorite changes in this update. And I also love the fact that we have the traffic light buttons in iPadOS 26 to close, minimize, full, and half screen the window. And it is a really great update. Google Chrome works really good within the windowing system. It works extremely good within the windowing system. This is honestly one of my favorite changes that Apple gave to the iPad. And it just works absolutely amazing. So those are some of my favorite changes in iPadOS 26. And there's also one more feature that I forgot to mention. A recent update in iPadOS 26.1, as if I go into it here, press on the three-dot menu, which prior to that I never knew you could do. And for some reason I can't seem to press and hold on it. There we go. You now have enter slide over. But the strange thing is only one app goes into slide over. When it's supposed to be two apps, it is only just one. To go out, you simply press on it again, and you will see an option that says exit slide over. This is honestly one of my favorite changes in iPadOS 26, and I really love the new updates with the windowing system. And we also have the phone and journal app in iPadOS 26, but I've already covered that, I believe, in my What's New videos for the RC and final release. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech. And leave a comment down below. What do you think of the new multitasking features on the iPad? What do you wish Apple could have changed? And overall, what do you think of the feature as a whole? Hopefully next year or the year after, I get to upgrade this iPad and get something new on the channel, as I am looking to upgrade some of my devices and get something new on the channel. I'm Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech, and I'll see you guys later.